Hi there. In this video, we are going to be looking at point of view. This is an incredibly important skill for not only fiction but nonfiction literature as well. Before we get to our lesson, let's review the vocabulary that goes with this lesson. And it is the last two vocabulary terms that we will learn in this book. But we're getting to the end of the book. First person narration is where the narrator is telling the story, or a character in the story is telling the story. The narrator is the person telling the story, or maybe a part of the story. You will see words like I, me, my, we, and us. Those are first person pronouns. In third person, the narrator is not in the story. The narrator is telling the story about someone else. He, she, him, her, they, their, and them. So in this lesson, we're going to be looking at different points of view of your narrator. And again, narrator is just the person telling the story. Okay, let me go back to, I went one too many, sorry. Lesson 16 is on page 52 of the textbook. And this book, I love this about this book. It always starts with just some examples of things that help us understand the passage. So let's take a look. This is on page 52 up in the middle of the page. This is just example. We don't have to do anything question-wise. Just want to point out some things. This is a first-person point of view. On September 7th, 1854, I turned 15. Okay, that tells me that the narrator is telling the story from a personal perspective. 3 days later, my father made an announcement at supper. He told us that our family would be moving to Texas. We would leave Silesia in 2 weeks. I was shocked. In 14 days, my life would completely change. So the narrator himself or herself is telling the story. Here's third person point of view. For the first few minutes, Olivia questioned her sanity. She needed this job. However, being a toddler's nanny for 5 days a week would be a lot of work. Then Corey gave her a hug. After that, Olivia felt slightly better about her decision to take the job, but only slightly. So this story is about Olivia. Olivia is not speaking in this story. The story is about her. So this is third person point of view. There is a second person point of view that you may go over in your English class, but this book chose to just focus on these two, first person and third person. And here is a test example. Kayla sat and stared. Grandmother's funeral had been last week. Now Mom was making Kayla help clean out the old house. When she called Kayla to come into the kitchen to see another treasure she had found, Kayla frowned. All she could think about were the times when her grandmother had criticized her. Okay, this does not use the words I, me, my. So this is a third person narration. The narrator is telling us about this girl named Kayla. How does the reader know how Kayla feels? The writer uses first person point of view to reveal how Kayla feels. That's not true. If Kayla were telling this story, we would have first person. The writer uses the first person point of view to reveal how all the characters feel. Again, that is not true. This is written in third person. The writer uses third person point of view, well, that's true, to reveal how Kayla feels. The writer uses the third person point of view to reveal how all the characters feel. That is not true. We don't know how Mom and Grandmother felt before Grandmother passed away. So I'm going to go with C on this one. It is in first person. It does tell us how Kayla feels. And here are some clues that tell me how Kayla feels. She frowned. She was thinking about the times that Grandmother had criticized her. The fact that she was sitting and staring gives me a clue. Now that could be because she's sad, she misses her grandmother, or as we read further, we realize it's more likely that she really doesn't miss her grandmother who had criticized her. Okay, I'm going to stop this video and I will see you soon.